car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. This is Ivan Streckle, owner of Frontier Motors. And for the next half hour, we're going to talk about cars. And we have been doing this TV show for going on, I think it's about, I don't even remember, 1996. So that's a long time. 20-some years we've been doing this. And we've been bringing people in the Pensacola area the news of what's going on in the car industry. Not just Frontier Motors, not just the fact that we sell cars and what we do different than most of the other 100-some dealers in our area, but mostly what we do as far as helping you when you're in the market for a car by giving you the free advice. That's what really our claim to fame is. We also talk a little bit what's going on in the car industry, not just in our neck of the woods here in Pensacola, but also nationwide. And the first thing I want to talk about is the new car shortage, which if you've been on a new car dealer's lot lately, you probably experienced it, or just driving up and down Car City by looking at the lots and seeing that a lot of the lots are half empty. Doesn't mean they don't have any cars, but they don't have anywhere the amount of cars that they used to have. And one of the reasons is because the demand is very, very high. Now that the COVID is half over, I don't want to say it's completely over, but people are back in the market. Last March, April, and May, they took a big downturn. So the manufacturers thought it was going to stay like this for a long, long time. So they cut a lot of their supplies out. One of the big ones being the microprocessor chips that they put inside the vehicle to keep that vehicle running. And now, guess what? There is a microprocessor chip shortage in the whole world, not just in Pensacola or in the United States, but the whole world is seeing this shortage. And Adam has made the front page of automotive news for the last 3 months just about. And it's really catching up because a lot of the factories have closed their doors and the ones that haven't closed their doors, I've only been running 1, maybe 2 shifts instead of 3 shifts. And the headlines read, microchip crisis takes toll on the Detroit Big Three. U.S. nameplates sweep the top 10 for lost output. Talk about lost output. Ford was hit the hardest. So far this year, they have lost 324,000 cars of production. In other words, that they would have had orders for, but that they couldn't build. And General Motors was behind them at 277,000 lost units. Stellantis, which is Chrysler and Fiat, they changed their name a couple of months ago when they merged with Peugeot. It's now called Stellantis. So if you hear the term Stellantis, that is your Ram truck and your Dodge products and Fiat and also Peugeot. They lost 252,000 units to the microprocessor chip shortage. And on down the line, Subaru 45. The rest of them wasn't as bad. Volkswagen 45,000 lost units. And this is only through the first 5 months of this year. So imagine if this keeps going for another 7 or 8 months, these car dealers and these manufacturers are going to be in dire straits. One of the things that I've seen happen is that I've seen a big reduction in the rebates of the cars. Remember a couple of years ago when they had their closeout, what would keep you buying from the older model versus the newer model? And if you don't know this, but most of the manufacturers change your plants over in the first and second week of July. Right after the 4th of July weekend, they flip over into the next model year. So right now we're talking 2021 model. Well, 2 weeks later, they're going to be producing 2022s. Well, years ago, what they would do to sell the 21s would be to put huge rebates on the 21s versus the 22s. And the reason they do that is because the price difference between the 21 and 22 usually isn't that much. So if you're looking at let's say a Ford F-150, the price might only go up $400 per year. Well, if it's only $400 per year, of course you would get the newer model for $400. I think I would. But if the rebate was $2,000 more, now you're looking at the $2,400 difference plus the tax on $2,400. So unless they've changed the body style, that is the incentive to buy the older model. Well, guess what? Fast forward to reality, that is not happening right now because they are almost out of cars. There was one dealer that I read in Automotive News. It's a Honda dealer. I can't remember which state he was in. They were down to 3 new cars for sale. Now that's extreme. You go on our local Honda dealerships, which is right up the road here, brand new Honda dealership. They had over 200 units still in inventory, but they're dwindling down. Don't forget, if a dealership sells about 200 cars a month and they're not getting new ones in, it doesn't take that long to whittle that inventory down. We're a prime example of that also, because we normally would stock around 350 to 400 cars. we're down to about 280 cars. So we still have a lot of inventory. Now, we sell used cars at Frontier Motors, but it's not as much as we would like. And that's one of the reasons that I can get the word out by using a couple of minutes on this show to tell people in the Pensacola area that we would love to buy the car that you have that you're not using. You know, we talked about Dave Ramsey a little bit. We are the only dealer that Dave Ramsey endorses in the Pensacola area, and that's Frontier Motors. Of course, he doesn't endorse any new car dealers because he's all about the depreciation that you get when you buy a used car. So he picked the best dealer in our area about 10 years ago, and he picked Frontier Motors. We didn't pick him to have him do advertising for us. Dave Ramsey picked us, which is a feather in our cap. He's been endorsing us for the last 10 years, and he talks about the fact that why would you buy a used car? Well, because you can save so much money. Now, how do we get those used cars? Well, one way we get them is we buy them at auctions. Well, when the COVID came, the auctions closed down. So auctions wasn't a source of our inventory anymore for a long period of time. Now, they're back open, but they're still not open like they used to be. So even though they're running cars, there's not as many cars available. One reason is because the new car dealers aren't taking their used cars to auction, the ones they take in trade, because they used to have them competing with new cars. So a lot of dealers wouldn't keep a lot of their used cars. They would take them to auction. That's where I would be able to buy one very clean cars. They just didn't want to have them on the lot because they didn't want to compete with the new ones that were right next door. But now everything has changed. So we are advertising that we would love to buy your car as a private individual. It makes it so much easier for us because we don't have to pay the auction fee. We don't have to pay the buyer that goes to the auction to buy these cars for us. And we don't have to pay for the transportation. So a lot of times you'll be pleasantly surprised on how much we can pay for that car that traditionally customers have always wanted to sell their cars themselves because they'll get more money, right? That's why would you put your car on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace or on AutoTrader or Cars.com? Well, because you want to cut out the middleman, which would be the dealer. Well, now, if Frontier Motors is paying much more than normal, you might see that gap of what you're asking, what we'll pay is so minor, it's not worth the headache of selling the car yourself. You still have to advertise it. You still have to stay home. You still have to people come, have them come over to your house. And they're going to want to test drive the car. They want to get it. They want to get it inspected. They want to go to maybe work on the price a little bit. Some people will even ask you to finance the car. Some people will want a warranty. Some people will have a trade-in. You know, these are all things that are kind of a headache for you when you place your car for sale by yourself. And, you know, of course, if you can make an extra $2,000 or $3,000, it's worth the headache. But if that gap is only a little bit, it might be better off. You might be better off just drive into Frontier Motors or just give us a call at 436-8080. Of course, nowadays you got to put in the area code at 850, and we will give you a buy bid over the phone. We do this all day long, so if you can describe the car to us, better yet, if you have the ID number handy, I can plug it into our system, and it will give me a fast, automatic price of what I can buy that car for, less any reconditioning. So if the value of the car, for example, is $20,000 and you've got $500 reconditioning, we'll offer you $19,500 for that car. And the nice thing about it is we'll write you a check. You can take the Uber home or have somebody pick you up. We'll take the tag off it. You can cancel insurance and you're done. And a lot of scams going on. One of the things that you wouldn't go on Craigslist, for example, the first 3 paragraphs of you putting your vehicle on Craigslist is what watch out for: the scam here, this scam. How do you know if the money's good? Should you take cash? These are all things that you should worry about if you're going to be selling your car yourself. So again, give us a shot at giving you a value in your car. I appraised about 20 cars this morning from private individuals. 5 of them, I paid what they were asking for their car. I didn't even negotiate. So that's a pretty good percentage. And the rest of them, we weren't that far off of what they were asking for the car. And again, the only thing we ask is that you'd let us know if there's anything that it needs. For example, if you got a crack in the windshield, we'll still buy the car. We're just going to deduct for whatever it would cost to get that windshield fixed if you don't have insurance that covers the windshield. So we've got a big issue right here in the nation with a shortage of new cars. Now, how does that affect the value of cars? Well, it affects it by considerable. And I've seen this happen on the new car lots where they have a certain window sticker on the car. It's called MSRP. That's called a Maroney label, after somebody in Congress said that years ago that they are going to require new cars to have the window sticker pasted on their windows so you know exactly how much the suggested retail price is from the manufacturer to you, the consumer. Now, the dealer can do whatever he wants. There's not a law that says the dealer can't mark that price up. And a lot of dealers are being obnoxious about that. Not all, but a lot of them are. I'd say 50% of them are being obnoxious. When there's a shortage of cars, for example, if they know they're getting 30 cars in this month and they have orders for 40 and they have 20 on the ground, those 20 cars are going to get marked up because they don't have any inventory. Remember, everything that's coming off that truck that used to be pulling in is already pre-sold right now. And we don't know how long this is going to last because they're still building cars, but they're only building a certain percentage of them because of chip shortage. So cars are trickling in. So you think, well, look, there's a truckload for sale. No, that truckload's already sold. In Automotive News I read this morning that one of the dealers said that when a truckload comes in, they have 8 cars on the truck. 7 of them are pre-sold. One of them's for stock. So, so it's affecting the pricing by dealers jacking up the price of the cars by putting what they call an addendum sticker on. The little sliver of a sticker that goes right next to the window sticker, and that is a dealer markup. Some of them are calling it a marketing adjustment. In other words, because of the marketing on the vehicle and how many people are asking for that vehicle, they feel that they can mark up that vehicle because the market is higher than what the original window sticker was. Some dealers are a little smarter than that. They're at least giving you something for your money. They're giving you a pinstripe. They're giving you floor mats. They're giving you maybe a security system, rust proofing, fabric treatment if you have cloth interior, leather treatment. They're at least giving you something, even though these things they're giving you might only be worth a couple of $100 and they're marking them up to $2,000. It's their way of at least saying, well, there's a reason we're doing this because we've done all this to the car. Some dealers are going one step further and they're taking their new cars and they're pulling that window label off, which is illegal. But the way they can get away with this is they're titling the car in someone's name and they're putting it on their used car lot and selling them as used cars. So you might go to a dealer that has a 2021 used car on the lot with 20 miles on it, and they're selling their new cars for more money than their used cars for more money than new. Now, at Frontier Motors, we're very smart when we buy a car. We actually do have some new cars on the lot. I've got some new Hondas on the lot, some new Mitsubishis that we've purchased at the auction, but we buy them at used car prices, and whatever price we put on that car is still going to be less than a new one because the new ones are being marked up. So that's one of the things considered. And when we talk about why would you buy a car from Frontier Motors, well, the number one reason that Dave Ramsey says is the fact that you're going to save money because the car depreciates. The first year depreciation, according to last year's Consumers Reports, was $7,600 the first year. Now I think that's gone down a little bit. I don't think you're going to save $7,600 on a one-year-old car right now. But even if you only save half of that, which is, let's just say round up to $4,000, if you can save $4,000 on a one-year-old car, plus don't forget you're paying 7% less taxes, so that comes up with another $300 or $400. And there's other fees that you save when you buy a used car. A new car dealership a lot of times will have a lot of fees that are extra market fees. Most dealers charge a dock fee. Some dealers are obnoxious with that. They'll charge a battery fee, a tire tax. So the fees when you buy a used car are less. So that's one of the reasons that you stop at Frontier Motors. Now, the other reason you'd stop at Frontier Motors is if you're going to buy a brand new car, we can't talk you out of it, give us an opportunity to give you a value on your trade-in. So let's say you're going to go to Lexus and buy a brand new Lexus for $50,000 and you're driving a 3-year-old Lexus. Bring it to us. Within 15 minutes, we're going to give you a buy bid and a trade-in value. Now, what I mean by that is, of course, you're only worried about the buy bid, but if you trade in a car, you pay a little less taxes. So we take that in consideration. And I've done this before where you can trade the car in the Lexus dealer and I'll buy the trade-in right from them. But that gets a little complicated. But within 15 minutes, we'll give you a buy bid for the car. And a lot of times you'll be surprised that the bid that we give you might be higher than what you get from, let's say, use Lexus as an example. Let's say you've got a 3-year-old Lexus. And you think, well, I'm going to get more money from the Lexus dealer than I would from Frontier Motors. Well, not necessarily. So what if they have 10 of your cars on the lot already, and they're all age inventory? Let's say you're trading a 2018 ES350. Well, I Googled them, and they've got 7 of them in inventory. And they've all been on their lot for 60 to 70 days. Most dealerships are on a fast turn basis. If that car isn't sold between 60 and 90 days, they get rid of it and take it to the auction. A lot of times they'll lose money on it if it's not sold. So they're not excited if you're bringing them another one just like what they have about giving you a high appraisal. That used car manager is going to say, I need another one of these, like a hole in the head. So he gives you a low appraisal. And that's why you want to keep that dealer honest. So we give you a buy bid within 15 minutes that you can put in your back pocket. You can take it over to the Lexus dealer. You can still ask that manager, what will you give me for my car? And if he tells you, for example, I'll give you $17,000 and we're paying you $20,000, you can whip out that appraisal and say, wait a minute, I'm buying a car. I'm spending $50,000 with you. Well, I'm not spending any money with Frontier Motors. And you're telling me that they're giving me $3,000 more than what you're giving me? Something doesn't make sense here. Don't you think the dealer you're doing business with should give you more money than one you're not doing business with? So I would hit them up for $21,000 for the trade-in if you're going to spend that kind of money with them. And if they won't do that, that's where we come in by buying that car from you. So the only thing you have to do is make arrangements to go ahead and drop off the car with us and get a ride over to Mobile if you're going to buy a brand new one. Sometimes what happens when we do this is you're waiting for us for those 15 minutes to do your appraisal, and you'll see a 2021 used Lexus on the lot, just like when you're looking at. And of course, the next question out of your mouth is going to be, well, how much is yours compared to a brand new one? And that's when we go and do something that most dealers don't do, is we give you an out-the-door price in writing. Now, the reason that I say the out-the-door price is more important than the asking price and the trade difference or the trade-in value, because there are different fees that dealers charge. So it might look like the new car price is very similar to ours, but when we give you our out-the-door figure, that's comparing apples to apples, especially if it's exactly the same car you're looking at. Let's say that you've got that car and it's $50,000. We have that car on our lot and it's $48,000. And you're going to say to yourself, well, for $2,000 difference, I'm going to buy the brand new car. Well, what if our bottom line is $6,000 difference? Now, that would make a much bigger difference. And that's why we urge you always, when you're car shopping, don't worry about the list price. Don't worry so much about the trade-in value. Worry about what do you got to write that check for. Now, I know that probably 75% of the people don't write the check. They're going to go finance. 25% might go ahead and write a check for the vehicle or try to put it on their credit card if they can. Most dealers won't take a credit card for that high because they got to pay a fee. But if you're financing or paying cash, the dollar amount out the door is still the same. There's no difference. The difference is you're going to bring me a check from your bank if you finance through your bank, or if you finance through the dealer, the dollar amount is still going to be the same. Or if you're going to pay cash and write a check. So apples to apples is important. Now, a lot of times, if our bottom line isn't better than the new car dealers, our deal might be better. Now, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that, let's say we have a 2021 Lexus and you're looking at a brand new and ours has 8,000 miles on it. And the price is the same. Well, what would you do? Well, I would go buy the brand new one. But wait, what if ours was the color you liked and they didn't have any good colors left in stock? Remember I said there's a car shortage? All they got left is the ugly colors. The pearl whites, the silvers, the whites, they're all sold out. All they got left is purple, pink, and blue. And what if that's not your color? That might make a difference to you, where you'd say, well, maybe I'll go with that 8,000 mile car for this. Normally, the difference is going to be that we have more equipment on our car. And a lot of people will want to see the window sticker. And now we have a website that I can get a new car window sticker on my used car, which normally when you buy a used car, that window sticker is gone. Somebody took it off and threw it in the garbage. Well, now, and the reason the window sticker is important, folks, is then I can tell every piece of equipment on the car. By looking at the car, a lot of times you can't tell what's on that car. You can't tell if it's got adaptive electronic cruise control. You can't tell real quick if it's got blind spot. You can't tell if it's got air shocks. There's a lot of things you can't tell that are things that you can't see. Now, of course, you can see if it's got a sunroof. You can see if it's got 20-inch wheels instead of 18-inch wheels. You can see if it's got leather interior versus cloth interior. And believe it or not, they still make a Lexus with cloth interior. So these are things that are easily recognizable, but there's something I can't. And the main thing that I'm talking about is a safety group. If you want to get the safety group, even on a Lexus, there's an upgraded safety group, which can cost as much as $3,000. Well, what if mine has the safety group? Which is the pedestrian detection, the automatic stopping, the laser cruise control, the blind spot, the 360 surround camera. What if mine has a luxury group, which is a nicer leather interior, the suede headliner, better chrome, better plastic. When I say plastic, kind of funny, better plastic than the cheap plastic. But these are all things that you can't see that might make mine a better deal, even though the price is the same as a brand spanking new one. This is mostly true when you're buying an older used car. And I get a lot of times where a customer will say, and the reason that this is very important, because one thing that comes into consideration if you're comparing a 3-year-old used car versus a 3-year-old used car in Miami or Atlanta. I get this all the time. I'm selling a BMW. Well, Atlanta, they're cheaper in Atlanta. I saw one for $2,000 less than yours. Well, the customer goes up there to buy that $2,000 cheaper car and finds out it's a rat. I mean, it is just awful. It's been in 2 accidents. The tires are bald on the inside. It's got scratches that won't buff out. The car smells when you open the door. Some smoker had the car, or they had a dog living in it, and their car's $2,000 cheaper. Well, there's a reason, because the condition of the car when you go used is the number one thing that will turn you on or turn you off the car. So if you look at that car and the car is absolutely flawless, it's like new condition. It's a one owner. There's no chips or dents or scratches. And our price is competitive with the other one that is that rat that I was talking about. I'm always going to win. It doesn't necessarily have to be the least expensive car. And I have yet to meet a customer who says, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care the condition. Because the way that I look at it, if the condition is bad physically, that means mechanically it probably has bad condition also. If the guy won't pay to wash his car, if he won't pay to clean it up, if he won't pay to fix a scratch in the bumper or put tires on the car, what makes you think he's changed oil regularly on the car? So these are the things that we look at when we're pricing a car from one to the other. I'm really glad also to report that in the used car automotive news, there's a study that says dealerships are still essential to car buyers. Now, the reason I bring this up is, what do I mean by that? Well, you've heard about all these online buying, especially when the COVID hit, Carvana and Vroom and all these places. They'll bring a car right to your house. They'll sell it to you right then and there. Well, I'm glad to report that as the digital acceleration of auto sales continues to gain steam, a recently released study showed American car shoppers still find the dealership and in-person experience to be a vital part of the buying process. It says the results showed 94% of car buyers are most comfortable purchasing a vehicle from a dealership, and 92% said they want a test drive, and they still feel that the test drive is an important process of the buying. Can you imagine buying a car from Vroom? They bring the car there, and then you test drive it. Well, how do they bring the car there? Well, you got to pay for it. You got to get your loan. You got to sign all the papers at the bank. You got to have your check ready. You've got to get insurance. You got to call your agent. You got to get a binder. They bring you the car. You take it for a test drive. You don't like it. Now you cancel everything. And then they have that advertisement, that is even funnier sometimes, where you can keep the car for 7 days and just return it, no questions asked. That might be true, but read the fine print. I've had customers sitting in front of me that said they'll never do it again because they've done it, because they didn't meet their stipulations. Some of the stipulations are a certain amount of miles that you can drive. If you put a scratch in the car, the deal, even though you might be able to fix that scratch, let's say your car gets scratched within the week. Well, you can say, I'll just fix the scratch. And they say, no fix it. So we don't want no paint work on our car. So now guess what? It's not a partial refund. It's just the fact that you're stuck with the car. So be very careful if you buy it from one of these car buying services that bring the car to you. And they're gaining steam. Some people really like it. Some people that are afraid, some people, especially in the middle of the COVID, I can see why it was very successful. I can see why Vroom is gaining popularity, because some people, and I'm not saying every one of their cars is bad. That's not saying that at all. I'm just saying that most people want to be able to test drive the car and make their own decision instead of kind of be obligated to make that purchasing decision because now the car is in their front doorstep. The drivers brought it here, and I'm not sure if they charge you to take it back. I have no idea, but I think that I am still happy that 94% of the people still need a dealership, because that's where we come in. We started our dealership in Pensacola in 1996. We started with 30 cars in inventory. We normally stock between 300 and 400 cars. We've grown, and how have we grown? Well, one reason that we've grown is most of our customers are repeat and referrals. Last time we took a survey that was about 4 years ago, a 2-month survey, found that just about 70% of our customers have been sent to the dealership or have bought a car before from the dealership. And that's pretty big for used cars, because most people, now that's not that impressive if you're a new car dealer, because when you buy a new car, you just pick where you want to get it. If you want a Chevrolet, there's 2 Chevy dealers in town, right? You just pick which one you want, and they're going to have your business for life because you're buying a brand new car. Well, used cars is a little different. Used cars are a little dicey. Most people, they say, well, I want to get a 1-year-old Ford truck. So they Google Ford trucks. Whoever's got one, that's where they go. Well, not our customers. Our customers come back to us first. And one reason is because they know they're going to get a really good deal. They're going to get a fair deal, but they're going to get a vehicle that's like new. When you come on our lot, you're going to be so surprised that every one of our cars is unlocked every day. Our salespeople unlock every single car. That way you can open the door, you can smell the car, you can sit in it, you can see if it fits you, and you're going to compliment our salespeople and say, I can't believe these are used cars because they look like brand new cars. And of course, they're priced at used car prices. And that's what it should be all like. And what we do also is we don't do that back and forth garbage. Well, you can look at the car, you can say, how much is it? We give you a price list. We print one of these every day because our inventory changes daily, and it tells you exactly how many miles are on the car. Don't forget, most cars are digital. So it tells you the miles that are on this car, and it tells you the NAD values and how much we're asking for the car. And the next question, of course, is going to be, well, you got any wiggle room on that? So our salespeople come to the manager, and that's when we give you that out-the-door price I was talking about earlier. An out-the-door price with everything included. And we put it in writing, and we give it to you and say, hey, if you're not sure if it's a good deal, why don't you go to the next dealer and compare it? We've already done that. We have an app on our phone and our computer that tells us every vehicle, like the one you're looking at, it defaults to 150 miles. Now, we can go out, if it's an exotic car, we can go out 500 miles, we can go out nationwide. Let's say you're looking at we had a Tesla Model X the other day. So customers were saying, how much are these? So we put one within 500 miles. There was not one for sale within 500 miles. I put 1,000 miles in. There was 5 of them for sale with 1,000 miles. It told me exactly where they were and how much they were asking for that particular car and the equipment on the car. Wouldn't that be nice to know? So that way we got the sale right away. Our customer said, I'll take it, because ours was right in line with theirs. Ours had the automatic driving mode, which I kind of get scared a little bit about that automatic driving mode. I would consider not using that. But anyways, because we hear all those horror stories about them going off the road or whatever. But let's not get into that. Now, Ryan's telling me I've only got a couple of minutes left, so I want you to urge you to go on Facebook and like us on Facebook. We also have this half-hour show is going to be on YouTube, and you can go to our website. The show's also on our website. But the whole thing about this show, folks, is get the word out. You might not be in the market for a car now, but when you are, at least stop in at Frontier Motors or give us a call and give us a shot at your business. You'll be so pleasantly surprised how easy it is to buy a car without doing the back and forth and all the apprehension that there is by making the second largest purchase that most people will ever make in their lives. Again, FrontierMotorsInc.com. Go to the website. Right now, I think we've got about 280 cars in inventory. We've got 31 detailed photographs. They all got prices on there. There's a little link to the dealership that'll email us for your bottom line out the door price, because that's what we want to give you, so you know exactly what that check is. Don't forget you got taxes, you got a doc fee, you got a tag transfer, you got a title. You want to know what all those fees are, especially when you're going to another dealer that might have fees that are $500-600 more than ours. Frontier Motors, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.